And hello there, YouTube. Now, it seems my video last week was somewhat tragically prophetic, and I would just like to start by reminding the crazy wingnuts out there that in order to make your ridiculous, bigoted arguments, you are using the technology that was devised by a gay man who ended up committing suicide because of the persecution he was under. Think about that. Anyway, I think the problem with Wingnutism, this viral contagion spreading through Christianity at the moment, isn't just the bigotry, the homophobia. There is more to it. There is a lot more to it, and this is what this video is going to be about. The title, Christianity as a Cthulhu Cult. Non-geeks among you may wonder who's this Cthulhu guy. This is the Cthulhu guy. Yeah, sorry, I don't have a better model. This is the plush toy. When something goes into public domain, there's always a plush toy. But imagine this in a sort of a more realistic sense, in a sort of a 20-foot tall, big guy with tentacles, wings, or 40-foot tall. And it's quite frightening. Anyhow, Cthulhu was created by a pulp author by the name of H.P. Lovecraft. He was not particularly recognised in his time, but now he's got this massive cult following. He's a bit like Van Gogh in that kind of way, only with a kind of a exclusively geeky audience. Exactly like Van Gogh then. Yeah, it's he created this horror series based around a world in which there was this deity called Cthulhu it was an alien deity that crash landed and built itself its little city called Lalach or something like that. I can't pronounce it. And it was slumbering. He was slumbering until the stars were right and he could rise again. And it's not sort of a benevolent sort of rise again. This guy wants to eat everything, body and soul. Yeah, it's kind of the symbolism, the sort of the metaphor he's using here is not exactly very subtle, but what he is trying to create is a very sort of a malevolent deity, in contrast to a deity that was portrayed at the time as dying out at the time. But this was sort of the birth of Wingnutism as a virus within religion, or the modern version of it anyway. So what he tried to do was create this sort of malevolent creature that was kind of exactly what the Wingnuts were following. Not only that, but in order to get the sort of big plot hole that Cthulhu is, that is, why would anybody worship him? The closer you get to the truth of Cthulhu, the more insane you get. Which is, again, it's true for a lot of religions. And I can say that as a religious person completely comfortably. The closer you get to idea of the divine, the crazier you get, seriously. But with Cthulhu, it ends up with these gibbering cultists who think they're going to be part of Cthulhu's great rise and have a special place. They want to be one with Cthulhu, which is again another reference to Christianity in the form of Wingnutism, and the whole be one with Jesus thing going on. And ultimately, Cthulhu's aim is to destroy humanity and devour it all, body and soul. And when you look really deep into Wingnutism, and its goals within the sort of the dominionist side, followed by the likes of Michelle Bachmann and a few of the other sort of big time proponents, Christine O'Donnell, Sarah Palin. They're dominionists. They really want to re-establish a theocratic state. Actually, not even re-establish, because I don't think any state has ever been, any Christian state has ever been as theocratic as what the dominionists propose. Because even within medieval kingdoms, you have the king may have been claimed his authority through God, but he was a secular ruler. The main source of conflict in medieval England was the conflict between the church and the king's government, and that was not resolved until the Reformation, when Henry VIII told him to fuck off. Yeah, the idea of sort of medieval Europe being a sort of a bad time for sort of theocracy, it may have been true in some states. I'm not entirely sure of the history of some other states, but I mean, I know the Spanish Inquisition was the only part of the wider Catholic Inquisition that was given secular authority by the local rulers. So maybe they would have been a sort of a stronger theocratic bent, but I still think that they don't match what dominionists are proposing. They're proposing by law, basically making sort of their view of Christian principles the law. You will have something akin to a sort of a Christian mirror of Iran, of Saudi Arabia, of many other of these tyrannies. If you let these buggers get any kind of power, it is not Christianity. I just want to emphasize that Jesus was never an authority. Well, he was never in favour of a kind of establishment. He was a very revolutionary figure. Although he rather sort of, some people say this is chickening out, but it's more to do with the idea of the spiritual dimension of his teachings, whereby he was telling sort of tax collectors and that to just rather than telling them to stop collecting taxes for the Romans and rise up, he was telling them just don't cheat anybody, because there's a sort of a limit where he wasn't about overthrowing the Romans. He never was, and that's part of the reason why Judas split from him. Because he was never about overthrowing the Romans, he was about establishing a kind of a way of life that would last beyond secular kingdoms. And it has. It has, in various forms, and there are many wacky forms out there. But what the most disturbing of these forms has got to be Wingnutism. It is the one that has the potential to bring about. It is a very apocalyptic cult, just like Cthulhu was in the H.P. Lovecraft. So it's a very apocalyptic cult, and it will bring about, if it can, an annihilation of humanity. And yeah, that is essentially where they're headed. They may deny this, but you look deeper and deeper into them, and you get more and more insane. And they're heading for what is they're just as bad as Iran. That's the funny thing. All the sort of neocon allies they've got going on, so we must attack Iran. They've, in this rather suspicious plot they had recently, they were about to destroy America. Let's attack Iran. Iran is a dark mirror of what the Dominionists want America to become. Well, it's not even a dark mirror, it is an exact mirror, only with a slightly different sort of theological bent. That's what they want. They want an Iran in the US. They want a United Christian States of America. And I find it horrifically ironic that you have a party called the Republicans who are being hijacked by not only a group that pretty much wants to return to the sort of legal system of America under George III, but also wants to establish theocratic principles in government. And that, my friends, is terrifying.